back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus the Ritter. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So let me scroll down, scrolly. Yeah. We got in the flyweight division, we got Azu Amabayev versus Jose Okoa. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Jose Okoa to beat Azu Amabayev, and yeah, it definitely is a step up of sorts for Okoa. But Azu Amabayev, like, he's not that thorough. He hasn't shown to be truly that thorough, to be honest. Like, as far as his striking, he hasn't shown nothing that's particularly so impressive. And even as far as the grappling, like, when you really look back at his fights, like, who he's beaten, like, who has he really done such amazing things? Like, he beat Jose Johnson, who a couple people have tooled on the ground, and he took the distance. He was struggling with him early. CJ Vergara, who a lot of people have tooled. So, like, the people he's beaten, he's, like, this decision in them. He hasn't really done anything that impressive. Then he struggled with Matheus Nicolau, who, solid fighter, but chinny, and he was struggling with him a lot. It was the fact that he was able to capitalize and touch his chin, and then the momentum shifted his way. So, when you really look at the feats of Amabayev in the UFC, they haven't really not been that impressive. And I think even his wrestling has not been super impressive. His top control has not been super impressive. And I think Okoa comes from a good gym. I think he has underrated takedown defense, has good cardio. I think he's a much better striker. I think he'll be the longer, lengthier fighter, I believe. Let me quote that. Yeah, he's 3 inches taller and will have a 2-inch reach, so he'll be the longer, lengthier fighter. He knows how to use his reach better. I'm going low confidence in him. Hope I'm not stuttering through the whole thing. I am, but hopefully I said that I have Okoa low confidence. If I didn't, I didn't, but now you know. But yeah, basically I think Okoa will be able to address the grappling enough, and I think he'll be the more effective, more dynamic striker. And I think he'll be able to beat Amabayev. I think this is probably like a greasy split decision. Could go either way. Probably should go to Featherweight in a greasy split decision. Also, they are fighting in the Middle East, I think. They fight in Dubai, so that's probably play a factor here. But I still pick Okoa here. Not the smartest play, but it's never too bad to go with underdog. Might be a good thing to play a spread, I haven't did a spread yet, but a lot of people have been telling me to do spreads, because I definitely think that Okoa can take a round or two out of this fight, or at least a round. Let's just say, I think he definitely could take a round in this fight. So I might play that as well, instead of just straight up playing Okoa. But we'll see. But prediction-wise, I'll go Jose Okoa to win by decision. All right, next fight. We have in the heavyweight division, we got Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence Marcus Buchecha to beat Martin Buday. We don't really know how good Buchecha is. Buday, we know he's not that guy, but at least he has had fights in the UFC. He has a pretty he has a functioning style. Like, he's a low-level wall installer. And that could be an issue for Buchecha. Like, Buchecha's not a MMA fighter. He has had a couple fights, but his resume is not as deep as Buday. Buday has, 10, 11 more fights than him? 15-2 to 5-1. So he has more than double the fights he has, and he has way more fights in the UFC than Buchecha, who has 0 fights in the UFC. So this could easily be a fight where Buchecha gets gassed out, gets pushed against the cage, and try to do this and try to do that. But I still go Marcus Buchecha, low confidence. He's one of the. I'm not gonna start saying stuff I don't know what I'm saying, but he is a high level, definitely a high level, decorated world championship, world level, top of the top grappler. He's creme de la creme as far as grappling. So he is that rare breed, and I don't think Buday is all that good. So I think, especially with Buday looking to clinch against the cage, I feel like Buchecha can use that against Buday to either take him down or take his forward momentum and draw him into grappling. Either way, Buday's going to be looking to time up the whole fight, and I think Buchecha's going to be able to use that to create grappling situations. And I'm going to say, I'll say first round submission for Buchecha. By no means am I super confident at all, low confidence Buchecha. And I think he gets it done by submission. I think it's better for him he gets it done early, because obviously I think Buday has that experience, so he can push the pace longer. And I can see Buchecha fading in this fight, and Buday's cardio experience coming through here. So I can see that happening against Buchecha. So the best thing for Buchecha to do would be to get it done as early as possible. Not forcing it, but again, not letting the fight drag out, not allowing Buday to do his smothering style against the cage and use his momentum to create a grappling exchange and get him out of there early via submission. So in this one, I have Marcus Buchecha via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, we got Muhammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Stephen Nguyen to beat Muhammad Yahya. And two both solid fighters. I think Stephen Nguyen is more composed and more solid, but also this is in the Middle East and Muhammad Yahya here, so this could easily be a fight where it could go to a controversial decision or a close enough decision they lean Yahya. So it's a lot of stuff go here. So another fight I ain't gonna be super confident in. Another fight I ain't putting no bet on. And also, it's not like Nguyen is this guy that looks so good on the contender series or looks so good here, and it's a reason to get behind him like this and that. And I think really they trying to give Yahya the best chance of giving him a win. So that's another angle you gotta look at this. They're trying to give Yahya the best chance to win. He's in the Middle East. He's a Middle East fighter. He is the UAE warrior, so they want to give the UAE warrior a chance to win. They're giving him his best chance to win here. You know, they're trying to give him his best chance to win here without just giving him a layup. So they give him a fight that's relatively his level, and it's seemingly a guy he should lose to. But if he probably could make it to a distance, make it to a decision, and make it competitive enough, he wins. And if he obviously, let me stop getting tongue tied. And obviously, if he gets a finish, he wins. So if he can make it close and competitive enough, and it goes the distance, they're gonna give it to Yahya. If he gets a finish, obviously they give him. So the winning options are limited, but I'll still pick him. Definitely not betting. Definitely leave me alone. I definitely don't care who wins in this fight, but pick wise, got to pick Nguyen, low confidence. I think he'll be the more clean, composed fighter, more power. I think he responds better to damage. I'm like Yahya, like when people swing at him, he kind of turns away and kind of cowers a lot. And whether he's actually getting hurt or not, it doesn't do well. That's not good defense. That leaves you more susceptible to getting hurt. And also, if you're not getting hurt from the stuff you're getting swung on or you're blocking, defending, it's not a good look. It makes it look like you're getting hurt more than you are. Somebody can not even touch you clean. They can hit your arm if you're all turning around and dropping and running. It's not a good look. But I'll say Steven to win by a second round knockout. I think Yahya is very chinny, and I think his defense and his defensive IQ is very suspect. I think Nguyen can capitalize, and I'll say second round knockout for Steven Nguyen. So in this one, I have Steven Nguyen via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the Bantamweight division, we got Damon Blackshear versus Davy Grant. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Damon Blackshear to beat Davy Grant. Um, yeah, I think Davy Grant's a solid fighter, but he is getting up there in age. Is he 40 or pushing 40? He's 39. Probably gonna turn 40 before this year's over. Probably, if the math is right. But yeah, I think Damon Blackshear striking coming along well. And I definitely think he has a huge grappling advantage. I think Grant has an experience advantage. He has a cardio advantage. He has a striking advantage. But I think Blackshear can cover that with his athleticism as far as the striking advantage. And I think with his grappling, he can slow Grant down and ultimately break him down. Like probably pressure him, crack with some big shots, get the takedowns in there, wear on Grant, be heavy on top, drop heavy ground and pound, and eventually submit Grant and get him out of there in the distance. So in this fight, I have Damon Blackshear via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Carlos Leal to beat Muslim Salikov. So yeah, Salikov is a solid fighter, but Leal is very durable. He's a solid striker. He's much younger. He's like 31, 30 years old. So yeah, 31 years old, smack dab in his prime. Salikov is 41. And Leal's going to be applying that pressure, not giving Salikov the reins to really get off his kicks. And Leal cracks very hard. He's very durable. You know, very experienced. So it's not just like this 30-year-old guy that's like, oh, he got 5 fights. He got 11 fights. Now this guy got like, how many fights this guy got? 20. You know, he got 30, nearly 30 fights. So he has more fights than Salikov does by a slim margin. But he's young. He's more experienced. He's more well-rounded. You know, he's more durable. He hits harder. And he'll be able to crowd the space of Salikov. And I think he'll be able to put Salikov out. And I'm going to say in the first round, I don't think Salikov going to be able to deal with that pressure. And he's definitely not going to be able to deal with that power. So in this one, I got Carlos Leal. Losing my voice. We got Carlos Leal via first round TKO. Carlos Leal. Goddamn. Spit it out. Drink some water. Next fight we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Amanda Hebos versus Tabitha Ritchie. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Amanda Hebos to beat Tabitha Ritchie. Ritchie's a solid fighter, but I just feel like Amanda Hebos is bigger and better. And I feel like the areas where Hebos has lost, I don't feel like Ritchie really presents it. I feel like Hebos the more technical striker. I feel like Hebos the more technical grappler. She's bigger and stronger. And they're probably similar in age. So 31 versus 30. So it's not like, oh, Hebos is 37. It's not like Hebos coming off a fight when she took so much damage. She did get dominated in the grappling department and submitted by Dern. But we all know Dern is bigger. She's better. She's way more technical and way more accomplished in the grappling department than Ritchie. So yeah, I think Hebus will be the better striker. She'll be the better grappler. And where Hebus has lost, she lost a better grappler in Dern. They're 1-1. And she's majority lost her fights by getting chin, and Richie's not very much she's not a big puncher. She has shown kind of underrated power before, but she has never really materialized a finish or really as long a stint of hurting someone. Like she hasn't had a stint where she hit someone and then have been rocked for an extended period of time. Like, or she hasn't had a history of hurting people for an extended period of time. You know, some fighters, they might not have knockouts on their record like that. So let me see if I can pull up and see if they show her knockouts. They don't really say it on here. I got to click on her page, which I'm not doing right now. But yeah, Richie, again, not really a history of hurting people too much with her power, and definitely not finishing people with her power. I think she did hurt Lupita Godinez in that fight, but outside that, she hasn't really hurt no one. And again, it wasn't like an extended period of time. Like she done hurt her multiple times in the fight, and it's not like she had her hurt and scrambling for 2 minutes trying to survive and get her senses back. It was like, nah, you caught me a little bit. That caught my attention. You hurt me. Definitely hurt me there, and it definitely was a good connection there. But I got my senses back in like the next 10 seconds. It wasn't that long. But I'll say Hebus by decision. I think this will be a competitive scrap. But I think Rivas will be able to use her length, use her technique, and I think she'll be able to also win the grappling exchanges as well. Close fight, but Hebus just bigger, better, and a step ahead. So in this one, I have Amanda Hebus via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Bogdan Guskov to beat Nikita Krylov. Yeah, it's definitely not a good look that Nikita Krylov is coming off a knockout loss. You know, like the first knockout loss in a long time in his career. And he's coming back against a big hitter. And Guskov has continued to improve as a fighter. His confidence is only improving. So he has that hot streak going. Krylov, again, coming off getting knocked out. And now he's going in there with heavy hitter. And it's never like Krylov really had great defense. He had a great chin, great durability, and he leaned on that like a crutch. So now coming off a knockout and a bad knockout and coming back against a hot, a heavy hitter, I don't think it's a good spot. I think Guskov's able to knock him out. I'm going to say like a second round knockout for Guskov. Again, Krylov never had great defense. And now it's not as much of a crutch. I mean, it's not as much, I guess it's not as much of a crutch for him to lean on as it was before his chin. And Guskov, could hurt him before. Now I think it will be even more susceptible to hurting him. Now the fact that Krylov is coming off a big knockout, like a big KO knockout. Not just like, oh, he got standing TKO. Oh, not like he got put on the ground and somebody just took his back and flattened him out and just punched his hands and stuff. Like, nah, you got knocked out, face planted. And now going in with heavy hitter. And Guskov has improved his grappling a lot, so I think he'll be able to address the grappling Krylov and be able to take advantage of the lack of defense that, was always an issue for Krylov. But now, with the lack, the questionable chin now, and returning so quick, I think Guskov will be able to exploit it even more. They can be able to touch him early and often, and ultimately materialize a knockout in the second round and stop Krylov via second round TKO. So, in this one, I have Bogdan Guskov via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, we got Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elikana. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Billy Elikana to beat Ibo Aslan. So I like Billy Elikana a lot. I'm not going to say I like him a lot in this fight in particular or so much in his career, but I've liked what I've seen from him. I feel like he did a good job against Guskov on short notice. I did not like the fact that he got submitted, but I think he did get hurt prior to that. It wasn't just like that. Guskov just started taking on him. Guskov started to hurt him. Obviously he took the fight on very short notice, had to cut weight and all that. So a lot of different factors going into that fight. But now I think he has a full camp. He's going there with Iwo Aslan. He's not coming on short notice. I think he has solid striking. I think he has solid grappling. Again, he had a lot of success against Guskov in that fight in the first round in particular. And that's a hot rising prospect contender in the light heavyweight division. Guskov is. And Ibo seems very one-dimensional. I haven't really seen great grappling success. Ibo Aslan just swings for the fences with all his power and all his might. Doesn't really set much up. And I think Elikana with a full training camp now, I think he'll be the more conditioned fighter. I think he'll be able to, the more technical striker, and be able to stand Aslan. And also be able to mix in the grappling. I think he'll be the better grappler here and be able to take Aslan down, take him out the first round. And then be able to mix in the takedowns and then exploit the weakness in the grappling, exploit the cardio, exploit the lack of options Aslan has. Aslan pretty much just swing for the fences and, hope to put you out. Got a lot of power, a lot of athleticism, got a big build. But, again, not much outside of that. I don't think he has the best heart. I don't think he has the most durability. And again, I think Elikana's going to be able to exploit his weaknesses. Make him reach, make him miss, crack him, mix in the takedowns, press him against the cage, zap him of his energy, take him to the ground, and submit him second round. So in this one, I have Billy Elikana via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Bryce Mitchell versus Syed Nurmagomedov. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Syed Nurmagomedov to beat Bryce Mitchell. And I think this is a tough matchup. We don't know how Bryce Mitchell was going to look at bantamweight. And it's never really a good look to drop to weight class after getting beat out of your weight class. So I don't know how the weight cut's going to affect him. Is it going to be a good weight cut? Is it going to be a bad weight cut? But got to go with Syed. I think he's on a pretty good streak right now. Well, I think he's coming off a loss, to another good fighter, but close loss in his last fight. And I think he was riding some good momentum prior to that loss. But again, he has had time. He has had his bumps and bruises at bantamweight. He's more established at his weight class. He's cut that weight more. And Bryce Mitchell is not coming in on the low end. He's coming in kind of to the mid end of the weight class, and that's a big thing to do in your first fight at bantamweight. And coming down to bantamweight is not going to improve your skills. You're going to be slower. You're going to be less durable. And he's going there with a well-rounded fighter. He's not going there with a guy that can't grapple. He's going there with a guy that can grapple. He's going in the area with a guy that can strike, and a guy that has been there with a lot of elite fighters at this weight class. And I just think it's too tall a task for Mitchell in his first fight. But I do think Mitchell will be able to make it competitive. But ultimately, I think his gas tank won't be the same. His durability won't be the same at his weight class. I think he might get off to a good start, have some good control. But I think Syed's going to be a threat with some submissions and be able to get back to his feet, spin him back, kick him to the body, and really deal damage, especially to a guy that's cutting a lot of weight. The body is extremely susceptible when you're cutting a lot of weight, especially for the first time for this weight class. You might have done it, practice weight cuts, but, official weight cutting and fighting also, I believe, they fight in the desert, basically. So I think it's going to be hot conditions as well. So big weight cut, then fighting in hot conditions. Yeah, I got to go Syed here. I think Mitchell will make it interesting, but again, it's too tall a task in his first fight at bantamweight. So I think Syed will be able to use all those to his advantage and beat Bryce Mitchell by decision here. So in this one, I got Syed Nurmagomedov via decision. All right. I will be going on to the next fight shortly. All right, next fight. We have in the bantamweight division, we got Petr Yan, former bantamweight champion, versus Marcus McGee. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is what language am I speaking? What slang am I speaking? But I have Petr Yan here by average confidence to beat Marcus McGee. So yeah, I have average confidence in Petr Yan to beat Marcus McGee here. So Marcus McGee is a solid fighter, but I just think Petr Yan is better everywhere. He's crafty, McGee is. He got some good power and stuff, good technique. But Petr Yan, he's younger. I said Petr Yan. I'm just saying anything. But yeah, Petr Yan is younger. He got a groove now. It's not like Petr Yan is on that 3-fight losing streak. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. He's looked good in his last 2 performances. He's the younger fighter. He is slightly shorter. He is giving up 2 inches of reach, but he uses his reach much better than McGee does, even though McGee uses his reach pretty well. And also, I think Petr Yan would do a good job of making adjustments better than McGee. So yeah, Petr Yan has been in these multiple 5-round fights, coming off a 5-round fight against a former champion of a smaller weight class. And yeah, I think Petr Yan is going to be too crafty. I think McGee going to be making it interesting early, but Petr Yan is one of the best guys at making adjustments. So I think he'll be able to adjust. He'll be able to make a good game plan, or his team and him will be able to come up with a good game plan for McGee. I definitely think he'll look to attack the calves of McGee, mix his shots in well, and also mix in the takedowns against McGee as well. And again, to show him levels. Again, McGee's a solid fighter, but there is levels to this game, and I don't really see a clear path to victory for McGee. He's not a better grappler. He's not a better striker. He does got power. He can always catch you. But again, he might be able to catch Yan, but I don't think he'll be able to put away Yan. And I think, again, once Yan gets back up, or once you catch him once, Yan figures you out. He can start to stalk you and pick you apart. I don't think he stops McGee, but I do think he beats him by a clear decision. Maybe McGee takes the first round, but I think after that, Petr Yan makes very drastic changes as he always does. He reads you in that first round, and then he starts to pick you apart and break you down. But yeah, I think McGee will be competitive throughout, but again, I think Petr Yan, once he gets that shift, is very few fighters who can still around off him once he gets into his groove. And I don't think McGee is one of those rare fighters. So in this one, I got Petr Yan via decision. Now to our co-main event, we have in the middleweight division, we got Shara Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Baralt. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Shara Magomedov to beat Marc-Andre Baralt. Yeah, Baralt definitely has his chance. He could connect on the feet. He could try to wall and stall. He could apply heavy pressure, but yeah, I don't think he beat Shara Magomedov. I think Magomedov's I don't think Barral's offensive grappling is that good. And I think Shara's going to be able to address the offensive grappling if that's Barral's approach. Then on the feet, I think Shara is just so much quicker, so much more dynamic. And Barral has shown to be very chinny and been suspect to get stopped in the first round. And I think it's one of those type of fights. I think Barral, matter of fact, I think, what I think? I ain't going to say too deep because I'm going to be all confusing myself with it. But basically, no need to think about it. No need to beat around the bush too much. I think Shara's going to be able to get him out in the first round. Whether he kind of fills him out and get the first round knockout, or whether he comes out guns a-blazing and gets him out in the first round. Either way, I think he gets him out in the first round. And, yeah, he's the better striker, and I don't think Barral's grappling and clinch work is going to be enough to keep him in the fight and win him the fight. I think it's going to be unsuccessful, and Shara's going to be able to get to his space. And even in close, he's going to be able to land elbows, upward elbows, crossing elbows, and be able to split up Barral, get back to space, and continue to chew up Barral and get him out of there in the first round. So in this one, and also I think Shara is definitely going to be looking to be motivated and different here. And obviously, it's no real shame losing a striking battle to MVP. MVP is one of the best strikers in the game, but Barral is not. And but either way, losing to MVP, his first loss in the UFC, and I think the first loss in his career, I believe, he's going to be hungry here, fighting in the Middle East again, hungry, and looking to put on a statement performance. And I think he gets that statement performance, or I'm not going to say statement because he has had better wins. That Petrosian win was his statement career win so far in MMA. But, this is going to be a statement to get back on the winning side and show his improvements, or at least show, he's not shooken up by that loss and get back on, start a new streak here. So, in this fight, I got Shara Magomedov via first round TKO. Now on to our main event, we have in the middleweight division, we got former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker versus former two-division champion of ONE FC, Rainier de Ridder. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence, Rainier de Ridder to beat Robert Whittaker. So I'm really going with the pattern here more than anything. I'm not going like, oh, what have you done in the past or what have you done for me lately? It's more so the pattern. It is what have you done for me lately, but in a different way. Because it's not just, oh, this guy's winning, this guy's not. It's like, how have you been losing? And Robert Whittaker's recent losses have all been to bigger grapplers roughly. Like, Dricus is a big middleweight. Robert Whittaker had a great first round. For the most part, I think. Did he win the first round or did he get ended bad? I think he lost the first round. Like, he was winning that first round, and then I think he tried to go for a takedown or whatever, and then I think he ended up on bottom, and Dricus was able to land big damage at the end of that first round. And then the second round, Whittaker just looked deflated. And then Dricus was able to land a stiff jab that rocked Whittaker, swarmed on him, and I think he got this TKO or sub. And then his other loss, Khamzat Chimaev, took him down early, and again, bigger physical grapplers. De Ridder's striking might be awkward, but he is showing growth. Like, you can say what you want about Bo Nickel and whatnot, but you also got to look at Rainier de Ridder in that fight. His striking in the UFC is looking way better than it ever looked in ONE FC. So he's still improving as a fighter. So striking is improving. Whittaker, without doubt, still the better striker. But the growth in the striking is going to allow to set up the success in the grappling that de Ridder needs. And de Ridder is definitely a much better grappler than Whittaker. Not to say that Whittaker's a bad grappler by any means, but they are levels of this game. And if de Ridder gets on top of Whittaker, it's a bad night for him. So I think de Ridder is going to be to surprise Whittaker a bit on the feet. And there's definitely more tape on Whittaker, especially in the UFC. De Ridder, we've seen him win in ONE FC. We've seen him lose. But we have been seeing Whittaker, people have seen a lot more tape on Whittaker. Whittaker's a lot more familiar to people. And he's not really evolving so much as de Ridder is. De Ridder, we've seen him in ONE FC, but the guy we've been seeing in the UFC, especially in recent performances, is looking better and better every single time out. And again, Whittaker has been losing to these bigger grapplers, and that's definitely in the department that de Ridder is. De Ridder has the momentum. He's a bigger grappler. He has good submission skills. And if he gets the opportunity, he gets Whittaker on the bottom, whether he has his back or he's on top in half guard or mount or even in the guard of Whittaker, I think it's a bad position for Whittaker. So I think, and also Whittaker does have a style where he lunges in a lot. So if de Ridder can exploit that and create a takedown or intercept that darting in motion and create a takedown or get a takedown or secure a takedown from that, again, it's a bad night for Whittaker. And I'm going to say first round sub for de Ridder. I think once he gets it down, I think it's all she wrote for Whittaker, and I see a first round submission for Rainier de Ridder. I think he's going to be able to use his length well. I definitely think he's going to kind of struggle with the speed of Whittaker for a bit, but I think he's going to be able to intercept Whittaker maybe with a jab, maybe with a knee. a couple times, get Whittaker kind of hesitant, and then be able to make his entries a little bit more predictable and be able to time him, get him to the ground, instantly secure a very advantageous, very powerful position, drop heavy ground and pound on Whittaker, then tap him out in the first round. So in this one, I have Rainier de Ritter via first round submission. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus de Ritter. And as always, thanks for watching.